Good morning and welcome back to Community Couch Time, a daily talk show where we talk about things that are important, things that are happening in our community, in our state, in this country, and internationally. Oftentimes, the topics that we discuss are ones that others aren't talking about. And the question is, why aren't we? And so now a word from Ms. Wallace.
Good morning, great minds and good people. I'm Miss Tiffany Wallace, and thank you for having me for Community Couch Time. Now, let's start the discourse.
I wanted to ask you a question about film as well. Like I'm wearing Prince t-shirt. The movie Purple Rain, iconic. As a guitarist, he was phenomenal. He made full albums himself, doing the drumming, doing the bass, doing the guitar. Incredible artist, okay, and a person who people would maybe use the term like kind of gender fluid, played with the concept of gender as well, in terms of his look and his hair and his style, but is integral to Black history, Black music, Black culture, and a rock influence to that and to R&B. But I wanted to ask you, that's a movie and a film, right? Purple Rain.
Right.
And with soundtracks, they're so crucial to making movies really epic and amazing, and Do the Right Thing, South Central, 90s cinema. Those are things that really influenced me growing up. And I wanted to ask you about films that you felt like the music added to the film or was somehow integral to it. What were your major cinema and film influences?
That's big. That's another big question. I love the big question. You mentioned Prince, and people forget because it may not have been as well received, but Prince directed and wrote 2 other movies after that. He didn't write Purple Rain. The actual structure of the movie he didn't do, but after that he did Under the Cherry Moon, and he did Graffiti Bridge. So Prince understood how the power of music and the visual medium, and picked up from that lineage. And you can see, again, it's all about creating media and exploring, like you said, identity from a Black point of view, whether it's dealing with gender, dealing with racism, dealing with just being a person in the United States. So when I think about movies, actually for me, I would say probably the most influential movie on me, now that I think about it from a Black perspective, I would say, is probably Shaft, which is a genre back in the early 70s called blaxploitation, where basically filmmakers were taking Black stories and kind of gearing it toward Black audiences. And the reason why I say Shaft, that's a friend of mine wrote a whole book on it. It's just really, really cool. But Shaft, it starts from a basic point of literally my dad when he was younger looked exactly like Richard Roundtree. So I'm like, that's my dad. And then my father was in law enforcement too. And Shaft is playing like a PI, private investigator. So, and he was super cool. And I thought my dad was super cool. So I just looked at it from that point of view. But then when I started reading about it, it was a vision of a gentleman who's probably a true Renaissance person, Gordon Parks, who really got started in life as a major photographer in life. If you look at a lot of pictures covering the struggles of Black people that life was covering, Gordon Parks was doing all of that stuff. And then he also wrote a book called A Learning Tree. He did that movie. He also wrote his own music to the movies as well. But Shaft, as far as like an introduction of seeing Black people portrayed as in a movie. And then from there, you can go to, when you researched any of that lineage, you can go all the way, like you said, like with Spike Lee, and not just, you've got obviously Do the Right Thing, but you also can start with, She's Gotta Have It, School Days, all the way up to The Five Bloods, which he just did last year for Netflix. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, and again, I'm going to cheat here because I'm not perfect. So I think another major voice is Ava DuVernay, and it's not just the way it's the subject she picks. and how and the relevance and the importance of what she does, and makes it digestible without it being preachy. Where some of the early movies, some movies, you want to do stuff and you want to present the Black experience without having it be preached at you all the time. And I'm just saying, for entertainment value, not necessarily. I don't, the tones and the subject you're talking about, everybody should be aware of. But sometimes it's the way movies are put together. But when you have Black people behind the camera and Black people behind the, under the line, then it, those movies can be a little bit more authentic.
Yeah,
for lack of a better term. But then you have, I mean, I guess you would start with also just not even just filmmakers, but just actors like the great Cicely Tyson, who just passed away, Sidney Poitier, and just seeing Black people on screen that you could say, oh, they're doing something I can relate to, and then peeling behind and seeing how was this project made, whether it's movies or maybe for our young viewers, you'll be thinking about episodic shows as well, because I know, I'm trying to reach the kids where they're at, because I know a lot of students will watch like the episodic shows like on Netflix, or
Insecure.
shows like Blackish or Grownish from a Black point of view. But I mean, there are so many incredible marks in time where Black filmmakers were making important things. Let's see another one, or I could just think about like Love and Basketball, Regina Prince of
we might be
Bywood,
showing that and there's an assembly.
and then what she was, and then up to what she just did with the Old Guard on Netflix, an action movie. And again, there's a bunch that I know I'm probably glossing over, and I'm aware of it, so please go ahead. You could just go ahead and if you just Google Black filmmakers, there'll be a bunch that like John Singleton, John Sing, who passed away a couple of years ago. Steve McQueen, who did 12 Years a Slave. And it's also not just, it doesn't have just to be for like Black subjects. I mean, Steve McQueen did Hunger, right? So what's the name of the movie? Where he's just a Black person behind the camera leading a story. And that's important as well, when you're thinking about film, that you want to bring the subject, you want to bring a Black point of view in life, but a Black point of view in life doesn't necessarily have to be about, slaves, about, it can be about just, I need to get a job, or it could be just about, what, I have this relationship, I'm trying to make this relationship work, and that's where you go to like stars like Will Smith, who are just entertaining. Denzel Washington, obviously, Kerry Washington, Regina King. I mean, just so many. So, I mean, I don't know. I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but there's plenty to see out there. And please.
There's a lot of artists. There's a lot. You can do makeup. You can do camera work. There's like Arrival, the director of photography, I believe, won an Oscar or Grammy. There's a lot of different things that you can do. So it doesn't just have to be an actor, like you're saying, or director, whatever you want to.
Ryan Coogler with Black Panther. That's a really big, splashy. I think that was for the while the highest grossing superhero movie for a while before the Endgame, the Infinity War Endgame came out. So that just shows and then that was like a whole Black future, Afro future thing that was going on. So I mean, there's so many. It's great. It's a good time to be alive. I think it's a good time to be Black. It's always a good time to be Black, I always think. But it's a good time to be alive and Black because you have so many things you can pull from now. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, and so this leads us to our Community Couch Time Daily Journal question. And the question is, for you out there, is what is a movie that has been really impactful to you as well? Like whether it's, the representation, like who the actors were in it, or whether it's like the story itself, but something that was inspirational and impactful to you. Let us know what it is and how it impacted you and inspired you to want to do something or to feel a certain way. We're interested. We want to know in La Catch.
In La Catch.
In La Catch.